It's a Sunday afternoon in July. The pool is full of people in their 20s, music playing from somebody's speaker, everyone's arms and shoulders telling a story in ink. Across the deck, a man in his late 50s sits in a folding chair, sunglasses on, forearms bare. No sleeves of color, no names of children inscribed on his skin. No symbols, no dates, no quotes. He's not making a statement. He's not anti-tattoo, not judgmental, not old-fashioned in the way people like to assume. He simply never did it, never felt the pull. And if you asked him why, he might shrug and say, just never seemed like me. Maybe you've spent 5 decades watching tattoo culture grow from rebellion to fashion to full-blown identity statement. Watching friends, coworkers, even your own kids cover their arms in meaning, and you never once felt the urge to join in. Not out of fear, not out of stubbornness, just no pull. You've probably noticed people assume something about that you're repressed, that you're closed off, that you never found yourself, or worse, that you're somehow behind the times. A relic who missed the cultural memo that skin is supposed to tell a story now.
But here's what almost nobody says out loud. Choosing not to mark your body isn't the absence of identity. For a specific kind of Gen X man, it's the presence of a very different one. This is a generation that came of age before identity became something you display, before a person's inner world was expected to be visible, shareable, externalized. They grew up in a culture that still believed some things were private by default. Not hidden, just held. He knows exactly what that feels like, being the guy who shows up to the cookout, the work event, the family reunion, bare-armed and unremarkable, while everyone assumes his story must be thin because it isn't written anywhere visible.
It isn't thin, it's just unwritten by design. And understanding why takes us into something much deeper than ink and skin. It takes us into how an entire generation of men learned to carry identity, quietly, internally, and on their own terms. Let's give this man a name, the way psychologists like to name a pattern once they see it repeat enough times. Call him the Unmarked Man. Not unmarked because nothing happened to him. Every man his age has scars you can't see. Divorces, layoffs, the slow grief of watching parents age, the quiet exhaustion of providing for people who rarely say thank you. He has plenty of stories. He just never felt the need to put them on display. The Unmarked Man isn't rare. You've met him. He might be your father, your uncle, your neighbor who's lived in the same house for 30 years and still mows his own lawn on Saturday mornings. He's the guy at work who says less than everyone else in the meeting, then turns out to be the one who actually knows how to fix the problem. He's not anti-expression, he's pre-display. He came from a time when a man's identity was something you earned through action, what you built, what you fixed, what you showed up for. Not something you curated or signaled. Tattoos in his world were for sailors, soldiers, bikers, people with a specific story attached to a specific image. Not for everyone. Not for this is who I am as a person. So when tattoo culture shifted in the 90s and 2000s from rebellion into mainstream self-expression, his generation watched something strange happen. Suddenly, the thing reserved for outliers became the default for the average 25-year-old. And he was already in his 30s, 40s, already formed, watching a new identity language emerge that he simply never grew up speaking. Maybe that's you. Maybe you watched your kids get tattoos and felt no urge to follow them into that language. Not because you disapprove, because it's not your dialect. Because the Unmarked Man often gets read by younger generations, and even by some of his peers, as someone who's repressed, someone who never let himself be free, someone who's hiding something, simply because he doesn't broadcast anything. That assumption says more about the culture asking the question than the man being asked. We've entered an era where visible self-expression is treated as proof of authenticity. If you don't show it, you must not have it. If your arms are bare,
your story must be too. It's a strange, fairly new belief, and it's one this particular generation of men never signed up for.
He knows exactly what that feels like, being quietly misjudged by a culture that assumes silence equals emptiness. It doesn't. It just means his story is filed somewhere else.
Because the unmarked man often gets read by younger generations, and even by some of his peers, as someone who's repressed, someone who never let himself be free, someone who's hiding something, simply because he doesn't broadcast anything.